The silver Toyota Land Cruiser rolled 3 times down the jagged embankment of Chaman Road, its chassis torn apart by the concussive force of an improvised explosive device. Smoke billowed into the midnight air of Balochistan, carrying the sharp stench of burning rubber and cordite. Inside the mangled vehicle, bodyguards slumped lifelessly over the shattered dashboard. Mir Khan, a prominent provincial political candidate, crawled out of the wreckage with blood streaming from his forehead. It was the 3rd time in 7 days that assassin fire had missed his heart by mere inches. Mir Khan collapsed onto the cold gravel, staring at the distant headlights of an approaching police escort. Investigator Asif Shah surveyed the charred debris under the flickering flashlights of the Levies Force. He noticed something highly unusual on the asphalt. There were no skid marks, meaning the driver had not attempted to brake before the blast. Even more peculiar was a small, high-frequency radio transmitter buried in the dirt near the detonation crater. This device required proximity to activate. It meant the assassin was standing within 50 meters of the motorcade. Asif Shah pocketed the device quietly. He knew that the local separatist factions always claimed their attacks within minutes. Yet, this time, the airwaves remained completely silent. Mir Khan was an influential tribal leader known for his fierce stance against the local mineral smuggling cartels. His campaign for the provincial assembly had polarized Quetta and its surrounding districts. His inner circle consisted of lifelong loyalists, including his childhood friend and campaign manager, Dawood, and his youngest nephew, Bilal. As investigator Asif Shah interviewed the grieving families of the fallen bodyguards at the regional hospital, he noticed a subtle detail. Every single itinerary for Mir Khan was drafted exclusively by Dawood on a secure, encrypted laptop that never left the campaign headquarters. The investigation shifted to the fortress-like campaign estate in Quetta, where security was supposedly impenetrable. Asif Shah requested the logbooks for the armored vehicles. He discovered that the silver Land Cruiser had been sent for an unscheduled mechanical inspection just 4 hours before the fatal journey. The mechanic who signed the work order was a man named Cameron, who had disappeared from his home immediately after the explosion. A quiet search of Cameron's quarters revealed a bank receipt showing a massive cash deposit made from a private account in Karachi. Asif Shah tracked the Karachi bank account through several shell companies, leading to a shocking discovery. The funds did not originate from the smuggling cartels or rival political factions. The money belonged to a private trust managed by Dawood. The very man who wept at the hospital bedside of Mir Khan was funding the assassins. Asif Shah confronted Dawood in a tense interrogation room at the cantonment police station. Dawood merely smiled, claiming the funds were a routine political consulting fee. The evidence was circumstantial, and powerful political figures quickly pressured the police to release him. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Bilal, the young nephew, approached Asif Shah in absolute terror. He handed over a hidden digital recorder that he had placed in the campaign office to catch staff members stealing donations. The audio file contained a chilling conversation recorded the afternoon of the 3rd attack. In the recording, Dawood's voice was clear and unmistakable. He was not talking to a cartel leader or a hitman. He was speaking directly to Mir Khan. The candidate himself was organizing the attempts on his own life to secure a landslide sympathy vote. The realization struck Asif Shah like a physical blow. The first 3 attacks were carefully staged theatrical performances designed to project an aura of martyrdom. Mir Khan had sacrificed his own loyal bodyguards for political leverage. However, the 4th attack on Chaman Road was different. Dawood had realized that Mir Khan intended to eliminate him once the election was won to bury the secret forever. In a desperate act of self-preservation, Dawood had altered the explosive yield on the final bomb to ensure Mir Khan would not survive. It was a deadly game of betrayal within betrayal. The state machinery moved swiftly to suppress the scandal, fearing widespread civil unrest across Balochistan. Mir Khan withdrew from the election, citing his severe injuries, and vanished from public life into a heavily guarded estate in Dubai. Dawood met a silent end, found dead in his jail cell from an apparent heart failure before he could ever testify in an open court. Investigator Asif Shah was quietly transferred to a remote border post, his files confiscated by higher authorities. The blood on Chaman Road was washed away by the desert winds, leaving behind a haunting silence.